Welcome to the deep dives, where we dig into the information overload so you don't have to. So if you're a learner, and who isn't these days, you know the feeling. You're cramming for a presentation, trying to keep up with your industry, whatever it is, and you fall into that syndrome of the infinite scroll. You read, you consume, you feel informed, and then poof, 5 minutes later, the knowledge is just gone.
That is the struggle, isn't it? The gap between reading something and actually retaining it. We have all this information around us, but making it stick is the real challenge.
Exactly.
And today we're zeroing in on a tool that's trying to bridge that very gap. It's called NotebookLM.
A free Google Labs tool, right? I know it's been around for a bit.
It has, and its original strengths was always about, powerful document analysis.
Right. It was this amazing synthesis machine. You could upload a huge PDF, maybe a bunch of meeting transcripts, and it would just spit out these perfect summaries, timelines, whatever you needed. It was like a high-powered passive summarizer.
But the real game changer, the thing we're digging into today, that dropped on November 7th, 2025.
Okay.
And it's not a small update. They integrated AI-generated flashcards and quizzes.
So it's becoming interactive.
Exactly. And critically, it's in the free version. On web, Android, iOS, everywhere.
That one feature just changes the entire equation, doesn't it? It transforms NotebookLM from, a really capable assistant into an actual interactive tutor.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive is clear. We need to understand not just what it does, but the science behind why it works. Why does quizzing yourself actually make things stick?
That's the core question. We're going to show how this new feature ties directly into decades of research on something called active recall. It's all about turning that passive reading session into a guaranteed way to retain information.
Okay, so before we get to the quizzes, let's set the stage. Because there were some massive upgrades that came just before this, in October 2025.
There were. NotebookLM got a huge boost to its processing power. Its context window, the amount of information it can think about at once, widened by 8 times, up to 1 million tokens.
1 million tokens. Can you put that into scale for us? What does that even mean?
It means the AI can basically digest an entire library of documents in one go.
Wow.
Yeah, and hold all of that context in its memory. And on top of that, its conversational memory got 6 times better.
So it can have a really long, coherent chat with you about all that material without, forgetting what you talked about 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. It's crucial for those long, deep work sessions.
And even with just that, users were doing some amazing things. We saw people telling it, act as my PhD advisor and synthesize this paper for me.
Right. They had this incredible personalized synthesis tool. But here's the surprising part. That wasn't enough.
Really?
Yeah, informal surveys, deep dives into user forums like Reddit all through 2025. They showed a really clear demand. Something like 70% of active users were specifically asking for interactive tools for retention.
So they had the summaries, but they were still facing that post-reading forgetting.
Precisely. Even with a digital coach that knew your entire library, the tool was still missing that point of friction.
The thing that forces your brain to actually retrieve the information.
Yes. The flashcards and quizzes were that missing link. It moves you from passive Q&A to active, forced memory retrieval. The market was basically screaming for it.
All right, let's get practical, the user experience. How easy is it to actually use this?
The sources say it's incredibly simple. You just upload your documents, PDFs, Google Docs, whatever.
Okay.
You go to the Studio tab, and the options are right there. You just click flashcards or quiz.
And the speed is the key here, I'm guessing.
It's what really sets it apart. The system can generate up to 30 flashcards from a document in just seconds.
30 flashcards in seconds. I mean, that's an entire afternoon of work, right? Highlighting, typing things out.
It's a massive acceleration of that whole study process.
Oh.
And the quiz generator is similar. It usually creates about 10 questions, but it's super customizable. You can tailor them by topic, by difficulty.
So you could tell it, give me an expert-level quiz on Chapter 3.
You could, and you can even get it in different languages. The output is ready for your phone immediately.
And you can export it, right, to other tools like Anki.
Yep, export to Anki, or you can just print them out if you prefer physical cards.
We saw some great real-world examples of this in the sources.
We did. There was one user who was prepping for a pretty competitive podcast.
Okay.
And they converted this really technical document on AI models into a quiz. They said it gave them these tricky questions that really simulated the kind of debate they were expecting to have on the air.
So it's not just testing definitions. It's testing how ideas connect.
Exactly. It's relational knowledge.
And I loved the other anecdote. The funny one.
Oh, right. The tester who said one of the flashcards it generated was so simple, so fundamental that they just laughed.
Yeah, they realized they'd completely forgotten this one core concept.
And that's it. That's the moment. That little jolt of having to retrieve a basic fact is where the learning really cements itself.
Which brings us to the science, because this isn't just a neat tech feature. It's leveraging decades of cognitive science. We're talking about active recall.
This is the evidence-based core of why this is such a powerful update. The benefits of active recall are rigorously proven. Just the simple act of forcing your brain to pull an answer out, before you look at it, that can multiply your memory retention by up to 50% compared to just passively rereading.
50%, that's a staggering number. If you could get a 50% boost on your commute, you'd take it in a second.
Absolutely. And the only investment here is a tiny bit of mental effort.
And there's hard data on this for academics.
There is. A 2024 systematic review, it was in the Clinical Psychology Review, looked at 20 different studies. It confirmed active recall strategies boost academic performance by 20 to 30%.
20 to 30%.
And maybe even more important, it improved what they call self-efficacy, your confidence in your knowledge, by 15%.
That confidence part is huge.
It's especially noted in high-stakes fields like medicine and law, where believing you know the material is half the battle. And another study, a meta-analysis from Osmosis in 2022, backed this up. It found active recall can boost long-term retention up to 2 times more than just rereading your notes.
2 times, so it's not just a small gain.
Not at all. It's because it forces your brain to, as one source put it, pull the rope of memory rather than just watch the information drift by.
You're actively creating that neural pathway.
You are.
And there's one more benefit here beyond just performance, which is about stress. Evidence from BCU in 2024 showed that using quizzes like this can actually reduce exam stress by 25%.
It makes sense. When you turn studying into a game, into these little manageable challenges, you take away that huge, overwhelming anxiety. It's just smart study design.
And we should mention, this wasn't happening in a vacuum. Google was releasing updates like crazy in November 2025.
They were on a roll. Just 5 days before this, they added customizable video overviews. 2 days before that, a deep research feature to help you find and verify sources faster.
So they're building a whole ecosystem for self-directed learning.
They really are. And I have a pro tip for anyone listening who wants to get the most out of this.
Ooh, okay.
You can combine the custom goals feature with the quiz generation. So, for example, you could set a prompt for your whole notebook, like, generate quizzes as if you were a stand-up comedian.
That's brilliant. So you get these playful, funny questions that force you to think about the material in a totally different way.
Exactly. It injects a bit of fun into it, which we know helps with engagement and ultimately with retention. It's another layer of creative processing.
Okay, but we have to talk about the limitations. It's a free tool. There have to be some catches.
There are. We need a balanced view. The sources talk about soft quotas.
What does that mean in practice?
For most people, it's about 100 content generations a month and maybe 50 different notebooks.
So you have to be strategic. You can't just throw your entire hard drive at it every day.
Right. Prioritize your key documents. It's meant for project-based work.
And what about the quality of the output? It can't be perfect every time.
It's not. The sources are clear that sometimes the quizzes are a bit off, or the flashcards are maybe too basic. They might need some manual editing.
But isn't there a risk there? If the AI gets a question wrong and you're rushing, you could end up learning the wrong thing.
It's a valid concern, but ironically, that need to edit can be a hidden benefit.
How so?
It forces you to do an extra layer of active recall. You have to critically look at the AI's answer and check it against the source text yourself. That active verification is an incredibly powerful way to cement the correct information.
That's a great point. A cognitive silver lining on a tech glitch. It forces you to engage instead of just passively accepting.
One last thing is accessibility. It's a web-based tool, so if you have unstable internet, which is a real issue in some regions, it can be frustrating.
So what's the workaround?
The suggestion is to use offline downloads and plan ahead. Access the tool in focus bursts when you know you have a good connection.
So bringing this all together for our final conclusion, this flashcard and quiz feature. It feels like the bridge that finally connects the AI to your hippocampus.
That's a great way to put it. It moves knowledge from the cloud into your long-term memory. It's a direct solution to that universal problem of forgetting everything we read.
Professionals can prep faster, students can study smarter. The whole experience is just more efficient.
In 2025, it really feels like proof that AI isn't here to replace the brain. It's here to potentize it.
It feels like a moment where learning technology really caught up with cognitive science in a big, accessible way.
It is. But as powerful as it is, the sources leave us with a crucial warning, a subtle threat, and that's the illusion of competence.
The feeling that you know something when you really don't.
Exactly. Now that an AI can summarize, quiz, and coach you perfectly based on your own documents, it raises a really important question for you, the learner, to think about. How can you make sure you're using this AI to genuinely deepen your understanding and not just to simulate knowledge?
Knowing the difference between surface-level recall and true mastery.
That self-awareness, that remains the ultimate critical skill.